from behind the ship while it's cruising. We target the anchor, the hole where the anchor comes out, and throw a rope with a hook on the end.
When Somali pirates try to take on the military's top weapons, things don't turn out well for them. The U.S. Navy has everything under control and is ready to handle any threats on the water. Piracy is still a big problem today, messing with important sea routes that are key for worldwide trade. Modern pirates are more dangerous and powerful every day, making the seas a landmine for vulnerable ships. What kind of powerful weapons does the U.S. Army use to beat pirates for good? Let's analyze the latest strategy to keep this uncontrollable threat at bay. More pirate attacks worldwide. A new breed of pirates is frequently targeting key areas like the Red Sea, the Suez Canal, and the Indian Ocean.
Red Sea and Suez Canal are up there, the Indian Ocean just down that way. It's the busiest shipping lane in the world.
These modern pirates are not the charming rogues of storybooks, but highly dangerous individuals equipped with the latest weaponry, attacking ships with precision and brutality. Naval forces worldwide are rushing to counter these threats by deploying advanced weapons and conducting dramatic operations meant to discourage pirate attacks and protect ships. However, one can't help but question if these actions are just surface-level solutions, designed more for public reassurance than for tackling the deeper, underlying causes of piracy, such as regional instability and economic deprivation. The typical portrayal of fighting piracy often looks like something out of an action movie, with naval heroes chasing down villainous pirates. But behind this facade, there's a complex reality influenced by global economic and social issues. The COVID-19 pandemic, for example, has unexpectedly intensified piracy. As the pandemic slowed down global commerce, many ships were left anchored near coasts that are known hotspots for piracy. Economic hardships caused by the pandemic have forced more individuals into piracy, not because they desire a life of crime, but because they see no other way to make a living. This situation leads us to question the long-term effectiveness of the current strategies against piracy. Are the high-tech patrols and armed escorts really enough to stop piracy, or are they just temporary fixes that don't address the deeper problems? The uncomfortable truth is that as long as issues like poverty, unemployment, and political instability are not resolved, the problem of piracy will continue to persist and evolve. Even though there are frequent tactical wins in the fight against piracy, these may seem futile if the broader issues remain unresolved. Modern piracy and the efforts to combat it highlight the broader issues of global inequality and the often reactive nature of international security efforts. As dramatic naval confrontations play out, it's worth considering whether the resources spent on fighting piracy could be better used to help stabilize and improve the economic conditions in regions affected by piracy. If such measures were taken, perhaps the ongoing story of modern piracy might find a more permanent resolution, reducing the need for continuous maritime conflict. The ongoing battle against piracy on the high seas involves much more than just catching criminals. It's about understanding and addressing the economic and social conditions that lead people to turn to piracy in the first place. Until we address these root causes, the cycle of crime at sea will likely continue, with each side constantly developing new tactics and technologies in this dangerous game. As we watch these high-stakes encounters unfold, one has to wonder if focusing on prevention and regional development might be a more effective strategy than continual engagement in this costly and dangerous arms race. Piracy thrives in parts of the world where there's little law enforcement, lots of poverty, and few jobs. The Gulf of Guinea near West Africa and the waters near Somalia and the Horn of Africa are prime spots for pirates because the governments there don't have strong control and people are desperate. Other risky areas include the Strait of Malacca between Indonesia and Malaysia and near the Philippines and Bangladesh. These places are busy with ships carrying goods, making them attractive targets for pirates looking to take advantage of less patrolled waters. Somali pirates are especially notorious. They operate from the Gulf of Aden to the vast Indian Ocean, attacking big ships with a level of boldness and organization that's alarming. They use small, fast boats called skiffs to get close and board these large ships. These skiffs are launched from bigger ships, which act like floating bases in the middle of the ocean, far from the reach of any country's law enforcement. These pirates are heavily armed. They carry AK-47s, a common weapon in many conflicts, along with rocket-propelled grenades and handguns. RPGs are a favorite because they can shoot from a distance and target crucial parts of a ship, like the bridge, forcing the ship to stop. This tactic allows pirates to board easily. Once they're on the ship, they often take the crew hostage, starting a tense game of negotiation for ransom, with human lives hanging in the balance. But piracy isn't just about a few criminals deciding to take to the sea. It's about deeper problems. The regions pirates come from are often very poor, with corrupt governments and few opportunities for making a living. Many people in these places feel forgotten by their governments and the wider world, making piracy seem like one of the few available options for making money. The strategy behind pirate attacks is sophisticated, supported by networks that provide weapons and intelligence. They choose their targets carefully and plan their attacks, knowing when and where they're likely to be most successful. While international efforts have increased patrols and tried to secure these waters, the basic problems that drive people to become pirates, like poverty, lack of jobs, and weak governments, haven't gone away. As long as these issues are unresolved, piracy will continue to be a problem. This cycle of piracy is a clear sign of the larger struggles facing many parts of the world. The sea becomes a place of opportunity for those who feel they have no other options. It's a stark reminder of the disparities and injustices that continue to divide our global society. So the story of modern piracy is not just about crime, it's also about failure at multiple levels: economic, political, and humanitarian. The seas remain a battleground not just for control of shipping lanes, but for the hope of a better life, however misguided the means might be. Pirates might steal valuable goods or even try to take over entire ships. The crew members often face harsh treatment, including beatings, torture, and even death. But the harm isn't just physical. The mental effects of a pirate attack can be deep and long-lasting. Crew members might struggle with severe stress and other mental health problems long after the danger is over. As dangers at sea grow, let's see how ships are fighting back against pirates. The moral compass of maritime defense. As the threat of piracy grows, so do the methods used to protect these ships. One of the most praised and costly strategies has been to hire armed guards. These guards, who often come from private security firms that thrive under these risky conditions, are trained to fight back if needed. But this raises questions about the moral and financial costs of securing safety on the open seas. In addition to having armed personnel, ships are using other ways to keep pirates away without resorting to violence. For example, ships now often have razor wire along the edges. This wire is sharp and makes it much harder for pirates to climb aboard without getting hurt. Ships also use water cannons to keep pirates at bay. These cannons shoot powerful jets of water to push away pirates who try to board the ship. This method is forceful yet non-lethal, offering a way to reduce violent confrontations. Another defense strategy is the use of safe rooms, also known as citadels, inside the ship. If pirates get on board, the crew can hide in these secure rooms until help arrives. This idea of having a protected space on the ship shows how seriously threats at sea are taken now. All these security measures show a shift towards treating ships more like floating fortresses. This shift highlights a broader trend towards more militarized ways of handling problems around the world. While these methods are effective in the short term, they also highlight an ongoing struggle with violence at sea that raises questions about the future of peaceful international waters. Relying on armed guards and other heavy defenses might make ships safer, but it also complicates the situation. It turns commercial ships into potential battle zones and blurs the lines between caution and aggression. As these defense tactics become more common, it's important to consider what this means for the future. The trend towards arming ships could change how nations handle security and freedom on the high seas. While the increasing use of military-like measures makes some feel safer, it also reflects deeper issues and challenges in our increasingly connected world. Training crews on ships to dodge pirates by moving in zigzag patterns or speeding up might seem like a smart move when sailing through dangerous waters. Yet, when actually facing a pirate chase, you have to wonder if these tips are really that useful. Keeping a sharp lookout around the clock and reporting any sketchy behavior to authorities is obvious. Sticking to well-known shipping routes is also advised to stay safe. But when you're up against small, fast pirate boats that are hard to even spot on radar, these recommended practices might not seem so foolproof. Pirate skiffs are not just tricky to detect, they are also extremely agile, making them tough targets for the big, slow-moving ships they chase. These pirates usually hang out in areas where the government doesn't have much power, which not only makes the pirates bolder, but also makes it hard for help to arrive quickly when an attack happens. Getting into a fight with pirates isn't simple either. Ships are allowed to fight back if attacked, but it's hard to know how much force is too much. Using too much force can lead to serious accusations of violating human rights and can get the ship's security team into legal trouble. In response, the world has tried to come up with a strong plan to fight piracy. This plan includes sending more Navy ships to patrol dangerous areas, using new technology to keep track of pirate activities, and making agreements between countries on how to deal with pirates legally. But you might wonder how effective these actions really are. Do Navy ships really manage to stop pirates? Does the new technology make a big difference, or is it just for show? Some people might say that while these strategies look impressive on paper, or when talked about in the news, they don't really solve the main problems. Piracy often comes from deeper issues like poverty, no jobs, and unstable political situations in the areas where pirates come from. If these root problems aren't fixed, then piracy continues to thrive. Just capturing pirates or stopping a few attacks won't stop more pirates from popping up. So the cycle of piracy continues, with ships hoping that traditional dodging tactics and the latest technological advancements will somehow make the seas safe again. What's more, these strategies are sometimes more about looking good to the rest of the world than actually stopping pirates. It's easy to question whether enough is being done to prevent these crimes at their source. Are we focusing too much on reacting to attacks rather than preventing them in the first place? This approach seems to ignore the fact that until the basic problems that lead people to become pirates are addressed, we'll keep seeing ships maneuvering through risky waters, mixing old tactics with hopes for a new solution that will finally end the threat of piracy for good. Piracy has become a bigger problem on the high seas, prompting navies from all over the world to step up their game to deal with this growing threat. With more pirate attacks happening, countries have formed big groups, increased patrols in dangerous areas, and provided extra protection for ships carrying valuable goods. One of the biggest moves has been the creation of the Combined Task Force 151, or CTF 151, in 2009. This group is like a global team, authorized by the United Nations Security Council, and includes naval forces from a long list of countries like the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and many others from Europe and Asia. Their main job is to prevent pirate attacks near Somalia, an area well known for such dangers. With more guards and gadgets, are ships safer or just more armed? A show of force or the final solution? Besides CTF 151, there are other regional groups focused on fighting piracy. The European Union Naval Force operates around the Gulf of Aden and near Somalia, while the Regional Cooperation Agreement on Combating Piracy and Armed Robbery against Ships in Asia looks after the waters in Southeast Asia. Both are meant to stop piracy, but they also seem to be a way for countries to show their military strength and influence in these regions. The use of naval escorts for high-value ships turns parts of the sea into heavily guarded areas, making it hard to tell if these actions are more about defense or showing off military power. This heavy military presence in some areas makes one wonder if the response is too aggressive and whether it really solves the problem of piracy or just controls it temporarily. Are these efforts really helping, or are they just a temporary fix that doesn't address the deeper issues causing piracy, like political problems, poverty, and lack of law enforcement in areas known for piracy? As more naval groups form and their activities increase, many questions remain unanswered. These efforts, under the banner of fighting piracy, might just be hiding bigger games of power and influence being played out on the oceans. In this complex situation, it's tough to distinguish between those trying to protect the seas and those possibly causing more problems. The motives behind these naval actions may be as complex and hard to understand as the ocean itself. Naval coalitions patrol areas like the Gulf of Aden and the Strait of Malacca, claiming to protect shipping lanes from pirate attacks. This effort involves using ships, aircraft, and drones to watch the waters and react fast if there are any pirate activities. However, it's worth questioning whether these patrols are more about showing military power than really stopping piracy. The high-tech gear and number of forces in such areas might seem more about flexing military muscle than addressing the real issues at hand, such as why piracy happens in the first place. These naval groups also escort high-value ships like oil tankers and large cargo ships through dangerous areas. Sometimes this involves just one warship following a commercial ship, but other times it could be a whole group of warships protecting several ships. This level of protection highlights which ships are considered important, mainly because of their cargo, pointing to economic interests in these operations. It seems like these efforts are as much about controlling these strategic sea routes as they are about keeping ships safe. As these patrols continue, some people question whether all this military presence is actually stopping piracy or if it's just a show of strength. There's a feeling that while these missions aim to protect the seas, they also support a stronger influence over key ocean paths by powerful countries. This double role these patrols play may show more interest in power than in solving piracy issues. Additionally, the focus on using advanced technology and lots of weapons against piracy might not be the best approach. It could be more helpful to involve local communities and tackle the deeper reasons why piracy exists, like poverty and lack of jobs. The grand show of military strength often overshadows the need for help and cooperation in the regions affected by piracy. Even though the immediate threat of piracy might be reduced, the deeper problems and tensions remain, suggesting that the area might face ongoing challenges despite the calm appearance given by the patrolling naval forces. While the numbers show a big drop in pirate attacks, from a high of 237 in 2011 to just 9 in 2019, this doesn't tell the whole story. It seems we're celebrating a victory that's not as clear-cut as it appears. Instead of solving the piracy issue, it looks like we've just moved it around. When naval forces got better at stopping pirates in places like the waters off Somalia, the pirates didn't just give up. They simply moved their operations to other areas where the naval patrols aren't as strong. This shift raises important questions about the effectiveness of current strategies against piracy. By focusing so heavily on military actions at sea, are we just playing a game of hide-and-seek on the ocean? Every time naval forces crack down in one region, the pirates pop up in another. This suggests that the decrease in piracy isn't because the problem is being solved, but because it's being pushed elsewhere. Moreover, there's a bigger issue at play here. The current approach is very reactive. We're waiting for pirates to make a move and then responding, rather than addressing why piracy happens in the first place. Most pirates turn to this life out of desperation and lack of other economic opportunities. By merely chasing them away from one place to another, we're not really addressing the root causes of piracy, like poverty and unemployment in their home regions. This brings us to a crucial point about the fight against piracy. If we keep focusing on sending ships and troops without improving the lives of those who might turn to piracy, we're not going to see an end to this problem. It might even keep getting worse as pirates find new and smarter ways to avoid capture. The narrative we often hear that naval operations have successfully beaten piracy might be misleading. It's more accurate to say that these operations have just shifted the problem around the world's oceans. Celebrating these victories might be premature, because as long as the underlying issues remain, piracy will continue to thrive in new forms and new places. Next, we'll examine how big navies mix power with protection to tackle piracy. The surge of military tech against piracy. In reality, tackling piracy effectively will require more than just ships and sailors. It calls for international cooperation to help improve the economic conditions in areas prone to piracy. A combined approach that includes development aid and economic support alongside naval patrols might finally offer a lasting solution to the problem of piracy. Until we adopt such a holistic approach, we'll likely continue to see the issue of piracy ebb and flow, much like the tides they sail on. While piracy has decreased near Somalia, it has surged in the Gulf of Guinea off West Africa. In response, naval forces have dramatically increased their use of sophisticated weapons. This arsenal includes high-tech machine guns, helicopter-mounted weapons, and advanced systems designed to shoot down threats at close range.
Attacks on this part of the Atlantic were so frequent and daring that it's once known as Pirate Alley. Navy commanders say security is being improved with the deployment of more personnel and hardware to tackle the problem. But despite having increased military presence at sea, experts believe that piracy in the Gulf of Guinea remains a significant threat to the maritime industry.
These measures transform maritime security into something resembling a scene from a futuristic movie. One of the standout tools in this new arsenal is the Mk-38 machine gun system. This weapon is controlled remotely and mounted on ships, specifically designed to hit fast-moving, small boats commonly used by pirates. Its effectiveness has turned the tide in many confrontations at sea, showcasing a shift from defensive strategies to more aggressive tactics. The Mk-38's ability to precisely target and neutralize threats before they come close has made it a favorite among naval forces. However, The use of such high-tech weaponry brings up several concerns. Is it really necessary to equip ships like war machines just to counter thieves on boats? This approach to dealing with piracy may deter attacks, but it also risks turning every pirate encounter into a potentially deadly conflict. Furthermore, there's a hint of cynicism in relying so heavily on technology. It seems to simplify the issue of piracy to just a problem of security and defense, ignoring the deeper issues like poverty and instability that drive people to become pirates. The focus on advanced weapons might seem like a quick fix, a way to show off military strength while ignoring the real issues that need addressing. By treating the symptoms of piracy with firepower, we overlook the root causes, social and economic problems that no amount of artillery can solve. Pirates are often pushed to the brink by harsh circumstances, and addressing these underlying problems is crucial for a long-term solution. So while our ships become more like floating fortresses, equipped with the latest in military technology, one has to question whether this is the best approach. Are we doing enough to tackle the reasons why piracy exists in the first place? This heavy reliance on military tech might keep some pirates at bay, but it doesn't help the communities struggling with poverty and disorder that breed such desperation. Instead of just aiming weapons at approaching boats, perhaps more effort should be put into improving lives and stabilizing regions prone to piracy. This could lead to more sustainable peace at sea rather than just a temporary ceasefire maintained by fear and firepower. The Mk-38 is equipped with a 25mm cannon and high-tech sensors that allow it to accurately hit targets from up to 2,500 meters away. This setup highlights the advanced technology used in modern naval warfare, suggesting a preference for using strong offensive capabilities rather than focusing on diplomatic solutions. The presence of such powerful weapons on the seas serves not only for defense but also acts as a deterrent, sending a clear message to potential threats about the serious firepower they would face. Helicopters, too, have taken on new roles beyond their original purposes, now being central to fighting piracy at sea. These flying machines can be loaded with a variety of weapons, from M60 machine guns and 20mm cannons to even missiles. The M60 machine gun is particularly noted for its rapid shooting ability and the capacity to break through light armor, making it extremely effective against pirate boats. However, the use of such heavy firepower to combat pirates sometimes seems like an overreaction, turning each encounter into a potentially explosive situation. The increase in weapon capabilities on these helicopters and ships might be seen as a shift in how we manage threats on the ocean. While the official stance is that these arms are necessary for protecting shipping lanes, there's an underlying tone that it's also about showing off military strength. As we continue to equip our naval forces with the latest technology, the distinction between defending against actual threats and showing muscle to discourage others becomes less clear. It appears that modern naval strategies are as much about preventing conflicts through intimidation as they are about actual combat. With these sophisticated weapons being more prominent, there's a need to think about what this means for international waters, spaces meant to be free from any one nation's control. The ongoing upgrade of military tools and their justification under the banner of maintaining safety might blur the real intentions, which seem to tilt towards demonstrating dominance rather than purely defending against threats. As such, the narrative that surrounds these military assets often leans heavily on the idea of defense and security, marketed strongly by those who build and deploy them. Yet sometimes this narrative shifts slightly, revealing a drive to establish a strong tactical presence that prevents potential conflicts through sheer power display. This shift reflects a broader strategy not just about fighting piracy, but maintaining a significant advantage that deters broader conflicts, essentially keeping potential adversaries at bay without needing to engage directly. In modern sea warfare, it's hard not to be impressed by the sophisticated weapons being used today, like the AGM-114 Hellfire missile. This weapon is known for hitting its targets with great precision. It's especially handy for attacking pirate ships from afar, allowing helicopter crews to stay out of harm's way. This might sound like a smart and safe way to handle threats, but it also makes fighting seem a bit too tidy and distant. Now let's check out the latest high-tech weapons at sea, the double-edged sword of automated naval warfare. Moving our focus to another example, we find the Chinese Type 730 close-in weapon system. This is no ordinary weapon. It combines sensors and a powerful Gatling gun that can fire rapidly to protect ships from smaller boats and threats from the sky. The Type 730 acts almost like a robot guard, constantly watching over the ocean. It can spot a threat and immediately respond with a powerful barrage of bullets all on its own. These fascinating weapons turn complicated battles into simpler tasks that machines can handle. But this simplicity has a downside. Using such technology can make us forget that real people are involved in these conflicts. It's easy to overlook the reality of war when you're just looking at radar screens and pressing buttons. This remote way of fighting can make us less aware of the serious consequences of these actions. Additionally, as these high-tech weapons become more common, they push everyone involved to also upgrade their arsenals. Pirates and other groups find ways to strike back, leading to an ongoing cycle of one-upmanship on the seas. This escalation turns warfare into something more distant and less personal. While this might mean fewer soldiers are put directly in harm's way, it also risks making us numb to the violence being unleashed so effortlessly. These advanced tools are changing the face of warfare, making it more about using the right technology than about human courage or strategic thinking. The ethical questions that arise from this shift are complex. For instance, is it right to reduce life or death decisions to mere button presses and automated systems? As these tools evolve, they bring about new challenges in how we think about and engage in conflict. This move towards more automated warfare isn't just about keeping people safe. It also reflects a deeper change in how we approach conflicts. It's becoming a battle of machines as much as a battle of wits or bravery. The continued development of such technologies might make fighting safer for some, but it also brings up important questions about the broader implications of removing humans from the decision-making process in warfare. As we continue down this path, we must consider what it means for the future of conflict and our sensitivity to the human lives involved. The advanced technology and firepower of modern naval weapons, such as the Type 730, are indeed impressive. This system can fire 5,800 rounds per minute and hit targets up to 3,000 meters away. However, when we look at how these weapons are used in real situations, like fighting pirates, the story gets more complicated. For example, in 2010, a Chinese naval task force used the Type 730 to stop pirates in the Gulf of Aden. Although the weapons system quickly destroyed the pirate boat and stopped the attack, one has to wonder if using such powerful technology is just a temporary fix rather than a real solution to piracy. Relying so much on powerful weapons raises questions about whether we are addressing the real problems. These weapons might stop pirates temporarily, but they don't solve the reasons why people become pirates in the first place. It seems like we prefer to deal with the immediate problems rather than looking deeper to find and solve the underlying issues. There are many examples of anti-piracy missions that focus more on showing off military strength than on creating lasting peace and security at sea. The operation by the British Royal Marines between 2011 and 2012 is a good example. The Marines used high-tech surveillance and aggressive tactics to capture pirates off the Somali coast. This approach worked well at the moment, but didn't really contribute to solving the long-term problem of piracy. In another instance, in 2010, the Chinese Navy showed off its skills and readiness in a bold operation where they freed a hijacked fishing vessel, the Tanu No. 8, from Somali pirates. The successful rescue by Chinese special forces was quick and effective, showcasing China's military capabilities rather than promoting international cooperation or addressing the poverty that often drives piracy. The Canadian forces also had a notable encounter with pirates in 2009 in the Gulf of Aden. When the Canadian frigate HMCS Winnipeg received a distress call from a Norwegian tanker under attack, they quickly launched a helicopter and used deck guns to scare off the pirates. They captured the pirates and handed them over to local authorities, wrapping up the incident neatly. However, this situation, like many others, overlooked the complex issues like legal jurisdiction and the rights of the accused, focusing instead on the immediate response. Each of these missions demonstrates the effectiveness and courage of naval forces. They also show a tendency to rely on military responses to threats at sea. This pattern of intense, quick military actions suggests a preference for handling maritime security threats with force, rather than working on international collaboration and development initiatives that could address the economic inequalities driving piracy. As such, while these missions are often celebrated for their tactical success, they could also be seen as opportunities lost to address the broader challenges that lie behind piracy. What do you think? Can military might alone ensure lasting maritime security? Or are we ignoring deeper issues? Like, comment, and subscribe for more discussions like this.